Today we have registered dietitian Kate Comeau, spokesperson for the Dietitians of Canada, here to talk with us about common misconceptions about healthy eating.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So let's start off with coconut oil. It's seen as becoming very trendy. It's good for your hair, for your nails, for your skin, for your waistline. Should people be substituting their regular oils for coconut oil?
It's a really good question, and we hear it a lot. And so you mentioned your waistline and your heart disease risk, and that's one of the areas that we've looked at in terms of the research, and there's really no convincing evidence that replacing your unsaturated fats, so your olive oil, your canola oil, with coconut oil reduces your risk of heart disease. And in fact, it may be a little bit better than butter, but it really isn't a suitable alternative for your unsaturated oils.
The next one for me is gluten-free products. We see it with bread, with pastas, snacks. Is it really more nutritious for you than the regular products?
Yeah, and I think one thing to know is that if you've been diagnosed with celiac disease, these products can be really helpful. You know, you need to follow a very strict gluten-free diet, and so having these products to substitute in can be really helpful. But a recent review of these products that was published in the Canadian Journal of Dietetic Practice and Research showed that actually these products, such as the bread or cereals that you've mentioned, tend to be lower in things like protein, folate, and iron. And this can be concerning for people who are trying to follow a gluten-free diet that have celiac disease, as these are nutrients that are commonly deficient for them.
Can we talk about juicing? Because juicing is very common these days, especially people trying to do a cleanse or to lose weight. Is it better for you than eating whole fruit and vegetables?
Yeah, another great question and a really common misconception. We often hear about juices being promoted to help with detoxifying, and this information actually comes from studies that were done, preliminary studies that were done in rodents, and the reason that the fruits and vegetables were juiced in those studies was to make sure that rats or the rodents ate all of the product. And so it turns out that we actually get the same benefits if we are consuming whole fruits and whole vegetables in terms of increasing potentially increasing those enzymes or the function of those enzymes in our bodies.
So let's talk about legumes. They're not included in the paleo diet. What does that mean for people who want to be eating lentils, chickpeas, and peanuts? Are they off limits, or do you recommend them?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend eating lentils, legumes, and one of the reasons we see it not being included in the paleo diet, and we look on websites that promote paleo diet, they will say that beans are toxic. And there is a grain of truth to that. If you have an undercooked bean or an undercooked lentil, it can trigger nausea, vomiting, diarrhea because of lectins that are found in those beans. But the bottom line is if you take those beans, soak them, and then boil them for just 10 minutes, which is very typical of how we prepare beans, that would get rid of all of those lectins and you wouldn't have those symptoms. So I think that the benefits of oat weighing beans are really, really strong, things like lentils, chickpeas, and the potential toxicity is really not likely to happen if you're preparing your beans in a typical way.
Perfect. Thank you so much for debunking these misconceptions.
You're very welcome.